giggles. Welcome to Dear Romance Writer. We're three writers who always deliver happily ever afters, offer questionable advice for all of your relationship, work, and life problems. I'm Zio Axelrod.
I'm Avery Flynn.
And I'm Roan Parrish. We have got a great show for you today, but before we get to our letter, we have got to discuss how we are all doing. How are we all doing?
I have the giggles. I don't know what's going on. I think I'm sleep deprived.
Oh my
Zio's
goodness.
got the giggles. Avery's hair is looking luxuriant, and I am wearing a shirt that's not black, possibly for the first time ever in the history of recording this podcast.
Wait, both of us. We both have like this mustard yellow.
Yeah, I did not get the memo. I'm a little hurt.
Some orange here. Like this is
that. You know what? You're the shirt that brings us together.
Yes. I'm the bridge.
You're the bridge. Well, you know, it is December when this podcast comes out.
Weird.
This year went by really, really fast, and then really, really slow, and then really, really fast again. Mm-hmm. It has been really kind of a lot. So I think, you know, for me, the past forever has just been catching up, and I am actually almost caught up. So now that I've said that out loud, I've cursed myself, but that's what I've been up to, is being caught up.
Awesome. Yeah, catching up has been the theme for this whole year, I think, trying to play catch up.
Yeah.
I've also been trying to play catch up. My email inbox up until this past week was like a holy terror, but I had so much fun this weekend. On Saturday, I went estate sailing, one of my favorite pastimes. And then on the most beautiful walk at Tinicum, which is a John Hines Nature Preserve in Philadelphia, and saw like up close, beautiful birds, and it was glorious. But then on Sunday, so my girlfriend Timmy is an amazing musician and artist. And she actually, what day is it today in the world of releasing this episode?
It is December 9th in the world of releasing this.
Out. She just released an amazing album called Blood Mansion, which is like a soundtrack to a movie, but the movie only exists in her head.
I love this.
Oh, that's fun.
It's so fun. So the story is that it's like a movie that was made in the 80s, set in the 60s, a horror movie. And she's written like the whole story for the movie. And so over the past like 3 months, we've been spending time making this horror movie, or like a very condensed version of it, so that she could cut together a trailer for the movie. And so on Sunday, we went over to my sister and sister-in-law's house, because Molly, my sister-in-law, plays the villain. And so I spent my day like smearing her entire face with hideous chunky gray goo and blackening her teeth so that she could try to kill my girlfriend and I could kill her. And we went out in the woods to shoot this scene where she tries to kill Timmy, and she's like running at her with a fake knife, and we've got blood everywhere. And of course there are like people walking their dogs and children in the woods. And Molly was so concerned because she's so sweet. She was like, I don't want us to scare anyone. Meanwhile, I was like, I do. But every podcast was just, Molly was like, it's not real, don't be scared. And they were like, yeah, we know it's not real.
We got that.
We did not think it was real, and nobody cared at all because, you know, Philadelphia. But it was so fun, and the trailer for the movie looks amazing. And
that sounds amazing. I cannot wait to see it. It sounds incredible.
Cool.
Speaking of movies, though, I went to the movie theater for the first time since December 2019, and we went to see The Eternals, which is a Marvel film that came out a few weeks ago. And it's got mixed reviews, and I couldn't I mean, you know, they always have sort of mixed reviews, but this one, I had a feeling because the cast it's like the most diverse cast they've ever had. There's queer rep, there's a deaf character, there's like all kinds of stuff going on. And the thing that really got me though about this film is it's beautiful. The story is really involved. Like, you have to be a serious comic book nerd to know anything about these characters, because they're really deep. It's like a deep cut in the Marvel world. A deep cut, but you know, you can see the threads of other things woven in there. But the thing that really shocked me about this is, you know how they have those after credit clips?
Yeah.
There are two.
I've heard about this.
I don't know how they kept this a secret. Like this has got we talked about secrets in our last episode. This has to be one of the biggest secrets that did not I don't know how this didn't leak. Like the NDAs were super strong on this one. And I can tell you now, because it's been a few weeks since the film came out, but Harry Styles is in the first after clip playing Eros, which is a character that's coming later in the universe. And I was like, how did they keep that a secret? Like I can see him not saying anything, but like every person that worked on the film, like no one knew about this. Like how? So I was really impressed. Awesome. And I think he's gonna be fabulous. It's a great character for him. It's like, the god of love and whatever, but wow.
I find him so adorable. Like I can't explain it. I root for him. Yeah. I root for him. I am not like teeny bopper in love with him or anything. I mean, I get the attraction, but he's like a baby. But I root for him. I would be so upset if he turned out to be like a total dick.
No, by all accounts, he's a pretty decent guy. I was totally shipping him and Lizzo because there was like a clip of them at an awards together. They were sitting at separate tables, but like back to back, and she was sort of like flirting with him and he was flirting back. So for a little while there was like a Lizzo Harry ship going on, but he just seems like a good dude. And then not too long ago, somebody got him to confirm that his song Watermelon Sugar is about cunnilingus, because for some reason between the lyrics and the video people didn't think that was true. That? And he was like, yeah.
Did they talk to my mom? I mean, like, who missed that?
Apparently people didn't want to think that like cute little Harry could sing a song about going down on a girl, but I love that he was like,
I'm telling you right now, I'm putting my money on it.
Yeah.
Has he acted before, or will this be his debut?
Yeah. No, was it in 1917? Was it 1917?
Yeah. What? No, it wasn't 1917. No. It was
another World War I film.
It was Dunkirk.
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 Yeah. He's in
which
Dunkirk.
I did not like.
And he was in something else too, but this is probably, I mean, this is smart for Marvel to want to bring in that whole swath of 1D and Harry Styles fans to the Marvel universe.
Now, I thought you were going to talk about the other one.
Yeah, the other one, well, because I mean, they brought in, so they've got the Game of Thrones fans coming in with Kit Harington. They've got Richard Madden in this. They've got, Michelle Yeoh, who I just worship at the altar of Michelle Yeoh. She can do no wrong. I mean, the cast is insane. I thought that some of the characters, like, I love Angelina Jolie, but I didn't particularly like her in this film. I was trying to figure out why she was there. And I also love Salma Hayek, but I also didn't love her in this role. But I mean, kudos to Marvel for really going all out. They got what is the director's name? Oh my god, I can't think of her name. She's really known for like art films.
she just won an Oscar.
Yeah, like she's like this Oscar award-winning art film. They wanted a totally different look and feel for this film, and they really
it's Chloe Zhao.
Yes, Chloe Zhao. Yeah.
Zhao.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if you're not really a big Marvel person, this is not a superhero film. It's about these people, these Eternals, and there is like the big battle at the end and stuff like that. But the film is it's about family, about fan family, and I think that if you're not a big Marvel person, you might enjoy it. But that really blew my mind that they kept that a secret for so long. I was just like sitting in the theater going, "What?" And thankfully there was nobody else there but Mr. X. But I was like, "What? How did they do it?" He's like, "I don't get it," because he has no idea who he is. But anyway.
That would be Mr. Flynn as well. He'd be like, "What? I don't get it. What are you talking about?" And then he would call him short, because that's his go-to insult for any dude. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's cute though. I like him. All right. Well, Roan, are you going to get us to our letter?
Speaking of not knowing what's wrong with people, let's move to our letter, which is from I Am the Asshole on Reddit. I have to tell you before we get into this, I was like scrolling. Oh my God. Scrolling through, my brain is so fried from scrolling that I can't remember the word scrolling. I was scrolling through the Am I the Asshole on Twitter thing, and literally every single person I wanted to die a horrible death. Like, I don't know what's wrong with these people. Anyway, let's get into it.
Okay,
they aren't listening to us.
Yeah. I know. Okay. All right. We're gonna change hearts and minds from the inside out. There you go.
There you go.
All right. So here's the Am I the Asshole letter. My boyfriend has started pretending to be bad at basic life shit like dishes and laundry, like he can't do it, so I do it. I felt pretty frustrated with that and told him straight up that I knew he didn't forget how to clean since he moved in with me. He was always very competent, living alone, and I didn't appreciate him, quote unquote, forgetting how to do chores. I said that when I asked him to do dishes and he refused and refused until he finally did them wrong, that I was not that stupid. He said that he was trying his best and I was wrong for saying he was trying to manipulate me. And that from his perspective, I asked him to do something, he did it the best he could, and I kept at him because it wasn't up to my impossibly high standards, and he couldn't win. And he wanted me to believe him when he says he's trying. Anyway, this may be petty, but I decided to give believing him a try. So, he had bleach stained my favorite little black dress. Instead of getting mad, next time he had a family event, I put it on. He asked if I was really good.
I love this woman.
I know, such a power.
This is my level of petty.
Yeah.
Yeah. He asked if I was really going to wear it, that it looked messy. I said that I loved that dress and I understood accidents happen. So I wasn't mad or upset it had bleach spots, actually. I thought it looked kind of cool. He said
she's
he
just
really thought
murdering you, dude. Murdering you, but she's not upset. Don't worry.
He said he really thought it. And I said if he wants, he could Sharpie on the white spots real quick in the Uber. It ended up looking even worse. Another time, we were having dinner and he had done the dishes, but put some of the cups and bowls in the dishwasher upside down so they filled with dirty dishwater. I took those cups and bowls, dumped them out in the sink, but didn't wash them further and served his food in them. He said that it was dirty, and I was like, they just came out of the dishwasher. It's just water. It's fine.
Come on, babe.
Disgusting. And I said it was really no biggie. I was getting over my impossibly high cleanliness standards, and I really didn't think it was that gross.
This is a rom-com.
I know, I fucking love it. The last time I'd cooked for a work party of his. After cooking, the dish needed to cool for about 30 minutes, then be refrigerated. I had plans with my friends that night, and I asked him to put the dish away after it cooled. He forgot. The next morning, he noticed the dish was never refrigerated. I said, it was fine. It was just a mistake, and it would probably be fine to eat. There wasn't a lot of meat in it. He got frustrated and said to me, you can't serve meat left out overnight, even if it's only a little. And I said, oh, I think it should be okay. Stuff happens. He stopped being so lazy about chores after he realized I seemed totally okay with leaving stuff done badly and that he'll be living with it. But I feel a little petty for having been dishonest about it. I actually hate how my bleached dress looked, and my stomach turns at dirty dish soup and unrefrigerated meat. Am I the asshole for being petty?
Sing it with me, y'all.
Fucking not. I want to make this woman president of the entire world.
Master level.
Who has dibs on making this a scene or this like a thing in your book? Like, who has dibs on this here?
Oh my gosh.
I call not it because I would end this book by this man dying, and it wouldn't be a romance anymore.
I was gonna say, yeah, just make it a horror. Oh my gosh. Death by Petty. There you go. There's your title.
All right. There was a whole, what do they call this? It's something incompetence, and I'm blanking out. Yeah, and it is a manipulation tactic. It is a way to get out of things. It's like, I remember doing it as a teenager at home to get out of doing the dishes in the eon before dishwashers, at least not in our house. And yeah, amazingly, it didn't work. I am so shocked. There's nothing like having to do the dishes for the second time at 10 p.m. at night, to really bring home that message. But yeah, learned incompetence, projected incompetence, whatever it is, I think is a tactic that people use. It is, while we will often chalk it up to men, it is not just men that do this. It is the friend who always expects you to make first contact, the person who you have to always make the reservations for, or always make the plans for, or all of that stuff. It's the person you want to scream at and say, just Google it. Somebody's like, who's Harry Styles? Go Google it. It is a manipulation tactic. And in this instant, I don't think she's petty at all. I think she's smart as hell. And I think this was probably one of the most brilliant ways to handle it, because if she would have gone straight up, I mean, she tried. She tried going straight up not even confrontation, just calling him out on his crap. And he was like, oh, you hurt my feelings. So yeah, I mean, this woman's brilliant. I would have never thought of this. I would have just screamed until my head popped off.
I think the dirty dishes thing I probably would have done, but like the dress that's just like, that's brilliant. Just use some Sharpie on it. Like that. That's just brilliant.
I love it. And to his family event, because every person in his family was like, what the hell is she wearing? And at some point in time she had to go, oh, Bubba's so sweet. He just made a little mistake. He didn't mean to.
I didn't want to make him feel bad, so I just wore it anyway.
I just wore it anyway. I mean,
it's so good.
It's
and I feel like the question, like she ends with the question, am I the asshole for being petty? And obviously we agree that she's not an asshole, and we agree that she's not being petty. And I feel like so often, especially in these am I the asshole things, people are asking like, am I the asshole for being petty? When the real question is, I tried every other avenue that was at my disposal to try to communicate my needs, desires, and boundaries to someone. They habitually ignored them. And then I had to take on tactics that were more like the ones that they were doing in the first place. Like, am I the asshole for meeting them at their own level to get my needs met? And I'm like, no.
Giving them a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, if I had to do that with someone even once, I would never have an orgasm with them again. Like I people have faults and differences of opinion, and I of course I'm not saying that someone needs to be perfect, but like if someone is incapable, like is pretending to be incapable of contributing to your household because they don't care if you have to do all the work, and then when you confront them, they gaslight you, and then you have to actually go to such extremes that you are like embarrassing yourself or compromising your own sense of cleanliness in order to try to hold a mirror up to them. Like, I'm sorry, that person is never having sex with me again. Nothing is like more of an aphrodisiac than someone acting like a tiny little child. And I just like don't even understand how they got through this many like how did she even get this many plays of petty, quote unquote, pettiness? Like, I would have broken up with this asshole on day one.
After the dress, I would be like, I can't believe you were okay with me being in front of your family with this, or the meat.
Oh my God.
Like, I wonder if he actually served it. Like, what did he serve?
The moment that person tried to pretend that it was just a mistake, that they thought that black clothes were washed with bleach, like, everyone knows what the word bleach means. I don't believe you. You are horrible.
Yeah.
Even just putting cups in the dishwasher upside down or face up, like.
Oh my God. All of my children.
That I can reasonably understand someone not thinking about.
Yeah. That
all of them though?
No. Oh, I mean, he obviously was doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, all of my children, but not all.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah. And I mean, it also, I think we do this in a couple of ways, right? There's always that joke, what's wrong with the straight people? And, sometimes it's a lot. All right. I'm not going to lie. Speaking for my people, there's a lot wrong with us, but it's like, we do this in both directions. I in some ways, sometimes we who are raised women and socialized as women, and are socialized to accept that all of this that we're going to take care of, right? So it's that weird. I think there is something about moving in with somebody, becoming a wife, where there is almost a weird melding of becoming the mother and the whore. Bringing them together a little bit, and then you add in kids, and that whole factor thing gets even weirder. But I think that there are things where people just fall into those roles just because that's what society accepts. And I think that's an issue. I think there's also an issue where maybe at his own place, he took care of everything because there's nobody else to do it. But maybe at home, mom took care of all of that.
Mom took care of everything, yeah.
So mom took care of all of that. So why, you know, he wasn't gotten back up at 10 o'clock at night to go do the dishes again because of learned incompetence, right? So there's that. But there's also the opposite end of things where I think sometimes this actually kind of ties in a bit to our letter from last week with people who get to be so logged into what they think it means to be a wife or a mother or whatever that particular role is, that they think they're the only ones that could do it. And so I think that's what he kind of played into, is that, oh my God, you have such high expectations. And she obviously didn't. So I think sometimes though, sorry, school bus, sometimes though, there are those instances where people can't let it happen. Like they refer to it themselves as, oh, well, my husband's babysitting our kids.
Oh yeah, that drives me crazy.
Rage.
That just absolutely, yeah, that drives me crazy. And I think it's also like, if you know someone is likes to tidy up, you know what I mean? If they just naturally do it, because like, I don't like to see, you know, dishes left on the counter or whatever. It's like, oh, well, I know that they're going to put them away because they don't like to see dishes left on the counter. So I don't have to do it, because if they see them, they're going to do it. You know what I mean? So it's just like leaving those things where he knows that she's going to take care of that. Or I should say they, because I don't think they ever say their gender, but they know that their partner's going to take care of that. So he just doesn't do anything because it's going to get done, you know?
Yeah, which like I know that the letter itself was about household chores like laundry and dishes and stuff, but I think that it's like it's even clearer why this sucks so much if you just put it in a different realm. So like if your partner like really hates being left alone with people that she doesn't know, it makes her really uncomfortable. She has social anxiety. It makes her feel unsafe. And if you don't have any problem being left alone with people that you don't know, so you think that her level of need to have you right there is like silly, right? If you're a good partner, you're like, cool, we're not the same, but she will meet my needs and I will meet her needs. And if she doesn't like being left alone with people that she doesn't know, then if we go to a party and we're talking with people that we don't know, I won't abandon her in that group of people, right?
Right.
But like, say he did the same thing, say that partner took this same attitude and was like, and the partner was like, I don't like it when you leave me alone with people I don't know, it makes me anxious. And he was like, well, I didn't know that. I didn't know you needed me to be there all the time. And then she's like, okay, cool. Well, now I'm telling you, I would really appreciate it if you didn't do that again. And then the next party they're at, he did it again. And she's like, hey, I thought we agreed. Like I told you that I had this need socially around this and you did it again. And he's like, well, you just have way too high standards. Like I cannot be with you every second. And she's like, well, I'm not asking you to be with me every second. I'm saying that please don't leave me alone with groups of people that I don't know. And he's like, nothing ever satisfies you. And she's like,
Right.
One thing satisfied me, the one thing that I said. And if then she started like trying at parties to go hang out with people that she did know and do all this stuff, like no one would say that it was petty. No one would say that it like it's about getting your needs met. And if you're a caring partner, you don't actually want to make your partner miserable. And his behavior was saying like, you have told me what you need and I'm gonna actively make your life worse. Who the fuck wants to be with a partner who is willing to actively do things that they know will make your life worse?
Yeah, there's also the partners who think, oh, well, this is a flaw that I need to fix. So I'm going to force you to fix this flaw by forcing you into a situation that you don't want to be in.
Right.
Because all you really need is exposure, and then you'll be normal like me.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, exactly. Well, I think sometimes people get confused, right? When you are in such an intimate, I don't mean sexual, I mean an intimate relationship with somebody. So it could be a friend, it could be, a sibling, it could be parent, partner, whomever. You are in this sort of really super trusting, intimate relationship. This is somebody you can show your ugly to, right? and you know it's a safe place to show your ugly too. I think that's one side of things, and I think that's important to remember. But it's also important to remember that you need to treat that intimate relationship doesn't mean that you get to treat somebody with disrespect, or that you don't have to treat them with the kindness that you would show a stranger, right? If you're going to treat a stranger with a certain amount of kindness or care, or like if you were to go to your grandmother's house, would you leave that crap out? No, you wouldn't. If you were to go visit your boss's house, would you? No, you wouldn't. Why? Because it's bad manners. So that doesn't mean that you get to do that at home to this person who you are in this intimate relationship with. There is a difference between being in a safe relationship where you can show your ugly, where you can be vulnerable, where you can sometimes be an asshole, and being in a relationship where you take advantage of somebody and you don't treat them with respect, and you treat them worse than you would somebody who's a stranger. That is a fundamental flaw. And I don't know, I mean, I think to me, the only way to fix that is either with a breakup or with therapy.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to come to that realization on their own. I don't know about you guys, but I know people who have left relationships, and they have left that relationship, and it is a complete blindside to the person being left. They cannot comprehend it. Like it is not put on. They are completely blindsided. And then you have the person who's leaving, who basically has spent years saying exactly what Roan's saying. You know, I need this. I need you to do this. Can you please do this? This needs to happen. And they're saying it. And once you get to a certain point, and he's lucky that she did this in this letter, because, and I say she, I'm assuming it's she, but this person is lucky with the letter writer because they still care. They still care enough to go through this bullshit
and still feel bad about it, because they're asking like, was I wrong for doing this? And I hope that the answers were collective no. Because this was gentle. This was very gentle. They could have been, they could have been
incredibly gentle. If she had not done this, that tells you right there exactly. I mean, when you are in that kind of intimate partnership relationship, you will put up with a lot, but once you stop caring, you're not going to put up with any of it. And it's over, and it's done. And by that point in time, there's no coming back from it. None. Absolutely none.
And to Rowan's point about needs, like if you have a conversation with someone and you say, these are my needs, the person receiving that has the right to say, I don't think I can meet those needs. And give that person a chance to find someone who will. Like sticking around, like in this case, this is, I wouldn't say benign, but this is like, we're on the low end of the spectrum of like shittiness here, where he's just being lazy and trying to take advantage, and hopefully learn the lesson and say, okay, you know what, let's we're all cool now. I get what you did. All right, so we'll move forward. But if it was something that was more impactful in a relationship, it could be really harmful to both people. So like, get to the point where you can say, you know what, my needs aren't being met. Can you meet them? And be honest and say, I think I can, give me some time, or I don't think I can, that's outside of my comfort zone, so that people can find their happy elsewhere. Because I think the idea of like hanging on, especially people who are married, legally married, we talked about this before, there's like this stigma against splitting up or divorce or whatever, and it's like we have to stick it out no matter what. So if I'm miserable because you never do the chores, or I'm miserable because you never watch the kids, or I'm miserable because you don't contribute to whatever, that's not a permanent state. It's only a permanent state because you've been socialized to think that this is a permanent state. It's not. So be mindful enough to say, I can't do this for you, or you aren't giving me what I need.
Yep. Right. I think that's so right on. And it's like, and it's also incumbent on the person to figure out their own needs. So like if this letter writer hadn't known how to express her needs and was just like constantly irritated, then she would be part of that problem. Right.
Exactly.
And I think that one of the about being in a relationship, like, and it doesn't have to be a new relationship because we all change. And so you might be married to someone for 15 years and suddenly realize that you have a need that's recently emerged, or realize something about yourself and you're like, oh, that's why that's been so hard for me all this time. I didn't realize this. So like, I think that it is so, so important. You know, Zio mentioned therapy, or no, Avery mentioned therapy.
Avery,
like,
yeah.
It's not
unusually Avery mentioned
Avery
therapy.
was the one who
yeah, mark it down.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I feel like that is, it's not just about that dude going to therapy and being like, why is it that I have no problem treating my partner like a maid,
right,
and making her miserable?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you should go to therapy, but also like she should go to therapy, and she should be like asking questions about her own needs, and wondering like, are there other things in their dynamic that are running in a similar way? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I was having this conversation with my sister recently, because we're just, well, actually all my friends who are my age, we are collectively infuriated that our parents won't go to therapy. And I was having a conversation with my dad, and I was like, I think you should go to therapy. And I say that not because like there's anything specifically that he needs, you know, I mean, there are, of course, we all have things that we should work on, but like, because everyone should go to therapy. And I said what I thought was going to be kind of like the closer. I was like, therapy is about you, but going to therapy is actually the kindest thing that you can do for the people in your life, because you don't even know how much harm you are causing. Like, one, not you specifically, like one does not even know how much harm one is causing to the people around us just by not having worked on our own shit, by being reactive, and by taking things personally, by bringing old traumas to bear on current situations. Like, the list goes on and on and on. And I was really like, this is the one, this is going to close the deal. And my dad was like, nah, I don't want to. So, you know, what can you do? But like, I so strongly feel like we can never say enough, go to therapy. Going to therapy is the best thing that you can do for yourself, and it is the kindest thing that you can do for anyone who is in relation with you, period.
I love that.
Amen.
But you know what you cannot go to therapy for? Our
Being
chat topic.
Oh.
Being an asshole. Actually, you can.
You can, but you probably won't, because you're an asshole.
Yeah. Or your name is Avery. So I'm sorry, I'm with you. I'm bad. I'm a bad human. All right. But our chat topic for this week is assholes, metaphorically speaking. You know, are you one? Have you had to deal with assholes? You know, what happens when you find out that somebody's actually a secret asshole, which is, I think, the worst kind of asshole. And you know, how do you make up for it when you are the asshole? So, assholes, take it away.
Wow. Not a heavy topic at all. No,
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think the worst is when you find out someone isn't who you thought they were. That's got to be the most painful thing, whether it's a, you know, romantic relationship, a friendship, a, you know, familial relationship, whatever it is. When you've got one opinion, usually a good one, of someone, and you think that they're like, you know, whatever, and then you turn around and find out there's something else going on with them. You start questioning, like, what did I tell them? What ammunition did I give them against me? Like, all that kind of stuff, you know. And you're like, you know, it makes you, depending on how strong the bond was, it makes you question other relationships. It makes you fearful of starting new relationships. Like, it can be like a bullet, you know what I mean? Just like cutting through your trust, your layers of trust.
Totally.
It really does.
And I think there are different categories of assholism.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's useful to talk about, but there aren't actually as many categories as I originally thought. I've been thinking about this while we were talking, because I saw the chat topic we were going to do. And my first instinct was like, got to break this down into like this kind of asshole, this, you know, because they're all different. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, actually, I mean, there are a couple different kinds, but there aren't as many as I originally thought. So I would say, oh, hello, Dorian Gray. We have a cat visitor. I would say that I would like to distinguish between assholes who are assholes because they have mental health issues. They are narcissists. They are badly recovered from trauma, etc. And versus people who are assholes for survival as a category. And survival doesn't necessarily have to mean like physical safety. It could mean like you have learned that the only way to get your needs met from the world is to care about no one but yourself, asshole. And then there are the assholes who like act the same as those people, but are not actually doing it out of either mental illness or the need to survive in the world. So like for purposes of talking about it, those are my sort of rough 3 categories. I'm sure there are more categories.
That's interesting.
Write us and tell us. And so I want to like set aside people like assholes who are assholes because they have mental health issues. Like narcissists and covert narcissists are such assholes. And also like you have mental health issues, go to therapy and go on medication and just stay away from me. And then the ones that are doing it for survival, I also am like, go to therapy because the world has treated you so badly, but now you actually have the chance to make a choice. But I still want to set them aside. And I want to I want to think that for our purposes here, I'm using asshole to mean the people who are not suffering from like that kind of mental health issue and are not doing it for sheer survival. And those are the people who I like overwhelmingly would just say are so selfish. Like so selfish to the point of not caring how their behavior affects other people, selfish to the point of like being willing to lie and manipulate to get what they want. And like, so I guess my question, I mean, I have tons of thoughts about this, but my question is like, what is the distinction between like, when would you call someone an asshole and when would you just call someone like toxically selfish? Is there a difference? Is there a distinction? Like what?
I think it comes down to how they react when they're called out on a situation, like the letter we just had. Like if the letter writer said, you were harmful to me because you didn't do this thing, and they were like, okay, I'll try to do better, and then they continually do the thing over and over and over again, that, you know what I mean? Like that's the one type. But if there's someone who's like, I'm learning, okay, I tried, did I do it right this time? Okay, I'll try again. And then they keep improving or trying to improve, and there's genuine, will to improve. That's something else. So I think within that category, there are those two. There's the reformable ones and the ones who are irredeemable.
Irredeemable assholes.
Irredeemable assholes versus redeemable assholes. Yeah.
Well, and for me, it's always the motivation behind the assholery. Okay. So that to me is sort of the difference between assholes. I think there are people who are assholes because like you said, there's mental health reasons, there's survivability issues, everybody has that crappy day, all of those sorts of things. I think those are all, I don't want to say excusable assholes, but excusable assholes. I think what I think puts you in that toxic level is your motivation behind it. Are you doing it because you enjoy the cruelty? Are you doing it because you want to see somebody suffer? Are you doing it because it will make you more powerful? Are you doing, those things? When you're using your assholery for evil, I think that is when you cross that line into either irredeemable or completely toxic. And I do think there are people who do it for that. It can be a big thing. It can be a small thing. It can be, the Karens who go crazy at your HOA because, they're out there measuring people's grass because they have the power, so there's that type of, to me, those are like, they're not forced into the corner of assholery. So that to me is worse. Or somebody who, drops the really insulting thing and, comment, or that backhanded, like, oh, I'm so excited that you accomplished X. Nobody thought that was possible. Right?
You finally did the thing. Like, what I mean? It's like the, I didn't think you had it in you or whatever, those kinds of comments. Yeah.
Or the, oh my God, that dress, it is something. I could never wear that.
Or you're so brave. You're so brave.
You're so brave.
Yeah.
You're so brave to
Lizzo
wear
talks
that.
about that a lot. She talks about her
Yeah.
mental health issues a lot, but she also talks about the comments that she gets when the stuff that she wears, because she wears revealing things. People are like, oh, I could never be that brave because I would never, and she's like,
Yeah.
bravery has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and there are different, just like there are different types of assholes, I think there's different levels of being an asshole.
Definitely.
There's little cruelties, there's massive cruelties, there's plotting to do harm.
Yeah.
And thanks for following me down this trail, because I feel like as an ex-academic, a recovering academic, if you will, my tendency is always like, step one, agree on a definition so that we can move forward. And I'm realizing as you're talking, Avery, that like, I hadn't thought about it this way, but as you were talking, I'm realizing that I actually don't care what someone's motivation is. I really only care, or not that I don't care, I'm interested in it. Yeah, but I think that
for me, that makes all the difference.
Well, I think
makes all the difference.
I think someone can have totally great expectations and intentions and still be an absolute asshole. And
definitely.
And so so I mean, it's not that I don't think that they're the same, but I definitely feel like too many people's assholism gets excused or written off by them saying, like, them making the mea culpa, like, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean to be awful.
I see where you're coming from.
Cool. Your behavior, like your choices and behaviors, have consequences that don't have anything to do with your intentions, because you are one person. But once you put your assholism out in the world, it affects all people who are not you.
Well, we see,
and I guess for me, we do. If you
look at the last president we had, if you look at shock jocks, if you look at the prank shows and Jackass, like all that stuff, we laugh at the behavior of assholes. And so I hear what you're saying.
I do. And I'm wondering if maybe for me it is sort of why I do care about that. The motivation behind it is because you can be absolutely cruel and absolutely an asshole with the best of intentions. I don't know about anybody else on this little group, but I know I definitely have. I've been the asshole.
You're talking about singular instances rather than a pattern of behavior, and I think that's the difference.
I'm thinking singular behavior, and I'm also thinking how that person reacts to it. Right? Mm-hmm. If somebody learns from that and therefore can become redeemed, a redeemable asshole, that I think is where I love that. I'm gonna like, are you an RA? Do you suffer from IA, irredeemable asshole syndrome? Let us help you. Yeah, I think to me that's a big difference. So I want to know what you guys do when you realize that you have behaved like the asshole.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I can't even get the words out.
Yeah. Nice try, babe.
So I have definitely been the asshole, both intentionally and unintentionally. I think when I've done it unintentionally, saying something that I instantly am like, oh God, I wish I hadn't said that, because I hadn't fully calculated the way it was going to land or the audience or whatever. That kind of thing. Or even just like maybe being a little bit too blunt in a moment when I, like, in a way that then kind of hurt someone's feelings. So I meant what I said, but I should have said
not the way you said it.
Yeah. I feel like for me, the trick is, like, I can almost always tell right away. It's not the kind of thing where I think it was fine and the other person has to come to me and tell me that I hurt them. It's almost always clear from someone's response or the like nervous laughter / silence in the room. And in that instance, I apologize immediately. And I say very clearly what I did, what I should have done. And I apologize. And I ask if the other person wants to talk about it. So like recently, I think I gave this example before, maybe on this show, but a few months ago, my girlfriend was having some feelings about some bad news. And I instantly went into problem solving mode, because that's what I do. Like, my first thought whenever something is going wrong is like, okay, what are the steps to get it going right again, or to ameliorate it as much as we can? And like, I went into problem solving mode so fast that I knew she was upset and having feelings, but I just that's what I did. And
Mhm.
the next, like that night, then when I was like running it back in my head, I was like, oh man, I jumped way too quickly. Like I skipped over, not that I wasn't sympathetic, but like I skipped over all the parts where, like, of course, if you're getting bad news, you need to process it. You need to go through this. You may not even have fully absorbed it yet. You
Mhm.
cannot jump right to trying to fix it because you don't even know what it is yet. And so the next day, when I saw her the next day, I was like, hey, I have to apologize to you. I did not mean to do this, but I did. I was accidentally an asshole. I shouldn't have jumped in right away with like all these solutions. I should have asked you what you needed in that moment. And I'm really sorry. And I hope that we can talk about your feelings. And she is a generous soul. And also, I think, knew my intentions and was like, no, I know that's just what you do. And that's like how you show love, is to be like right there with a sword, ready to like cut anyone's head off who wronged me. And then we were able to talk about how she was feeling. And I feel like it is so important to just like the second that you realize that you were an asshole, to apologize directly, to say what you should have done, because I think that shows some, or what you think you should have done, and leave it open for them to tell you. Because I think that shows that like, not only do you know that you were an asshole, but you aren't so stuck in that point of view that you're like, I know I did something wrong, but like, God help me if I know what it was. You know, you're like, no, I did this thing. I wish I had done this thing because that would be much better. And now can we please, like, I want to give you space to talk about it if you want to, but if you don't, that's fine too. So like that's generally what I do. Fast apology, explanation, like making it clear that I know what was wrong, what should have gone differently, and then like leaving it open to talk about if they want to or not, and not insisting on it if they don't.
Yeah, I'm not as advanced as you. Fast apology for sure, but I'm also that person that even after the apology is accepted and everything is settled down and we moved on, for like years later we'll dwell on that thing. Like, oh man, you know, like that thing in 6th grade, that thing in high school, that thing in college, the first conference I went to, like there's always those things that come back. So I try not to dwell on it, but it's hard. But yeah, I think fast apology and, you know, being genuinely sorry and not just sort of like, oh, this is gonna cause
I'm
a
sorry
conflict,
you
so
felt
that,
this way.
yes, that drives me nuts, because it's like, you're not sorry for what you've said, you're sorry that it had a reaction that you got from it, you know what I mean, or you're sorry that it's going to kick off some conflict, or you're sorry it's going to make you look bad, you know. Exactly. So I think the apology has to be genuine, but yeah, fast apology, and just try desperately not to repeat that behavior, whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah,
and I feel like
that's
right there what you were saying, Avery, about like it being a singular instance, and you know that person's general attitude versus, or general intentions versus like a pattern of behavior.
Yeah, because if it's a pattern, if they you know, especially with apologies, like they do the thing, they apologize, the thing happens again, they apologize, the thing happens again, and you're just like, okay, we're in this loop, how can we break this loop? You know what I mean?
And that's it's always so strange. And I think I'm just going to completely agree with everything both of you just said, quite honestly. At least it's what I try to do. And sometimes I am an asshole and I don't realize I'm an asshole. And I do need somebody to tell me, hey, you were an asshole.
You need the honey friend.
Oh my God, I need an oh honey friend.
Oh
I
honey.
should be followed around by an oh honey friend.
Everyone should have an oh honey friend.
Yes. So sometimes I try to be aware of that. Yes, by context clues. But so apologizing, be sincere about it. And you know what? Sometimes I'm an asshole and I'm standing by the asshole because the person deserved an asshole.
Is required. Sometimes the asshole is required.
So,
it's a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
No,
in a moment. The difference between being an asshole and acting like an asshole in a situation is like,
I like
it's
that.
the same with our letter writer, right? Like she isn't a petty person. She acted in a manner that was like matching the pettiness of the behavior. And I feel like there are some times that, especially for people who present as female, the only way to get something done and not have people question either your credibility, your expertise, or your ability to get something done is to go beyond just being firm and go into territory that, like, you know, is seeming like an asshole. Like, I went to Lowe's months ago to get a very specific tool that I knew I needed. And like, I think we all know that, or I forget, was it Home Depot where everyone's way more sexist? I don't know. There's one of them that's like a little better than the other. But like, I feel like every single female presenting person knows that if you walk into a Lowe's or Home Depot, you would rather spend 30 minutes walking up and down the aisles trying to find things than ask a single male employee, because they will make you feel like the gum on the bottom of someone's shoe. Like, I don't know if they have a training course or something, but
I'm just going to stick up right now. The guys at Milo's are awesome.
Oh, great.
And so there you go. But yeah,
well, I'm very
I know
happy
exactly what you mean though.
I'm glad to know it's not all Lowe's.
Yeah, I think they're pretty cool. But I hear just like hardware stores, car dealerships, anywhere where it's like a male dominated space.
Nightmare. And I went in and I like really knew the tool that I needed. And I was trying to ask a dude who worked there, like, hey, do you have something that will cut copper piping? And he wouldn't even let me get out the sentence. And he was like hearing the word copper and was just like, oh yeah, it's in aisle 4. And I was like, no, I know the copper piping is in aisle 4. I am looking for an instrument to cut copper piping. And he was like, ma'am, the copper piping is in aisle 4. And he was just like not even listening to me in a way that is very common. I'd got to start going to a different Lowe's, I guess. But I was like, sir, you are not listening to my sentence. I don't need copper pipes. Stop telling me where they are. I am asking for a tool. And then I paused because in my head I was like, you know what a tool is, don't you? Fucking tool to cut copper piping. And like, he looked at me like I was the biggest asshole. And I have a real problem with like service industry. Like, I want to be, so I am on the side of people working in a service industry. I've worked in the service industry. Customers are nightmares. People are terrible. Like, it was very difficult for me to do something that I knew would be interpreted by him.
Yeah.
But there was nothing else that I could do short of like leave him and go find a different employee. When meanwhile, I'd been walking around for half an hour looking for this fucking pipe cutting tool or whatever. Anyway, he looked at me like I was scum and I felt terrible, but I didn't regret doing it. And I stood by the fact that sometimes if someone is treating you like you don't want to be treated, you have to act in a way that you don't want to act to escape the situation with some of your dignity and your tools intact, you know?
Yeah,
because you got pipe to cut.
You got pipes to cut, but I use Instacart. I've been using Instacart and shopping services for years. And you know, with the pandemic and everything, it got really difficult to get slots and stuff like that. But I've had a couple of instances where they have left my groceries somewhere else, like someone else's house. And the first time it happened, it was like a small amount. And I was like, oh, well, do I complain? What do I do? Because, you know, it's all coming out of the shopper's salary, whatever. So I was like, whatever. And so like, I'm texting with them, like, that's not, they take a picture of your house. And I was like, that's not my house. And they're going back and forth. So the second time it happened, I went back and forth and I was like, you delivered the wrong place. Like, just scoop them up before they could get them and bring them over. And they were so rude. And so I was like, I guess I have to go to customer service. I hated it, but it was like $200 worth of groceries. Like, what do you do? Like, sometimes you have to just put on your asshole panties and be the asshole, you know? And it was like, but yeah, I mean, I always feel guilty about it, but I had someone
and by the way, I think those have to be asshole thongs.
Yes, okay.
I'm gonna go on that. It's got to be an asshole thong, not an asshole panty.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right. But yeah, there was someone I was friends with, or thought I was friends with, who we were talking about people who you think are one way and they end up being another way, who like gaslit me into thinking that I was an asshole in our friendship. And for a long time, I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll try to change. Maybe I'll do something different. And it came to a head in this one instance where they were apologizing constantly. We were just walking through some of this place, and I was like, why do you keep saying you're sorry? Like, we're not even, nothing's happening. And they like had this huge outburst and stormed off. And I stood there like, what did I say? What did I do? And like, our friendship dissolved after that, like, didn't return phone calls, whatever. And to like, for years, I was like, what did I do? Like, what did I say? Was I, you know, like, was I the asshole? And then I realized one day that it was a whole gaslight thing, you know? And I was like, wow, like for a long time, I'm thinking like I did something wrong. I said something wrong, but like there was nothing that warranted that reaction that I did. But for a year, like I was like, man, I really was a dick. Like, what did I do? You know? And I was like, but wait, I didn't do anything. Like, you know, so Yeah, those people, I don't know if it's just like a power thing or like, you know, some sort of like, I don't know, pleasure thing. But yeah, there are people out there who just get off on being jerks or like manipulating people. And I don't know if you can attribute that to mental illness or to just, that's just how they are, you know?
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is a really fine line because I think there are some types of mental illness that are like not treatable. Like the times that I have had the most difficult times with people were when they were being assholes, and it was because of untreated mental illness, because there's just a certain point at which you're like, you can make yourself clear, you can make your needs clear, you can tell someone how you want to be treated, you can tell someone when you will not put up with a certain kind of behavior. But if they are actually unable to control the way they behave in the face of certain stimuli, like that might be because of untreated mental illness. And that sucks. That sucks so much. But it doesn't change from my side. Like, I do not want to be in community with you. And so I have had instances where I was like, this is a person who clearly is a covert narcissist who is manipulating everyone in our friend group. And one by one, we're all catching on to the fact that they are a narcissist and can't be trusted.
Yeah.
But like every person who confronts them just gets cut off. And then there's a new story about that person. And like, the only thing you can do, you know, like narcissism is not actually treatable with therapy. It's one of the few like mental health issues that you can become self-aware of and then try to monitor your and change your behavior, but it's like not considered quote unquote curable. Same with like sociopathy. You know, and so like I feel like it's an issue of you have to protect yourself and you have to set very clear boundaries, but it feels so bad if you're like, I am punishing someone for having a mental illness. And this is why I think in a lot of ways, for me, I try to always separate intention from effect, is because there are some people who like their intention isn't an intention at all. It is a mental health problem. But if you excused the effect because they are not able to help themselves, what good does that do? You just stay in like an abusive relationship and nothing ever changes. So I think that it's like great to be able to acknowledge this person is acting out of X, Y, or Z intention or inspiration or circumstance. But like at the end of the day, those things can all be true and they can still be causing you harm. And so you have to protect yourself. You have to set a clear boundary and you have to say, I hope so dearly that you get the help you need, but you are not in my life anymore. And I am no longer going to be a reservoir for this illness.
And that's a tough conversation to have with yourself.
Yeah, it is. Well, and I think most of like
people who are covert narcissists or like that have that kind of issue, when you tell them that, they're not going to affirm you and say, I understand it is about me and not about you. They're going to say, you're a terrible friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't believe that I'm having a crisis and you're making this all about you. So of course you're not going to like get any positive reinforcement for that, but you have to do it anyway.
Yeah. Well, and I also wonder, I mean, like most of the people that I've known who've been hidden assholes are not people I would necessarily assume had a mental illness or knew had a mental illness, but more of people who were either socialized or raised to, or for some reason believe that they are the I have three friends people in the bad way.
Right.
You know? And so for me, most of the time when I've had to deal with hidden assholes, it's been more of people that I thought there was a relationship there. And that was my perception. And their perception was there has never been a relationship here. I have three friends. You are not one of them. Right. And so that's always interesting too, to me. And I don't think, and I'm sorry, my lighting is all weird. It just all of a sudden got completely dark here.
Oh no, yes,
and
dark.
The light in my office is not on. But that is, you know, kind of, I think also in there. And I don't know how much of that is, I think you have to come back and look and say, is there being an asshole? Is that it's not a reflection on me, hopefully. You know, it may be a reflection on you if you deserve being an asshole too.
Right.
But
you know whether you're an asshole or not. Most people know if they're an asshole or not.
Most people know. But will they admit it? Even
Ron's like, no, they don't.
Totally different. Totally different. But it's that I think there are different levels of perception, and some people who are in sort of the more cloistered, I have 3 friends and that's enough, are okay with being an asshole to everybody outside of that circle. There's that whole romance hero trope where the hero, the hero's an asshole to everyone but the heroine. And there are people like that in real life, right?
And people find that romantic, apparently. I'm interested in it because like I don't really, that's not like the kind of romance that I generally read, although I certainly probably have read some, but I am really interested in that as an appealing thing because I do get it. Like it makes you feel so special. And so special to be the person that someone who's mean to everyone is nice to. In theory, in practice though, like it's so uncomfortable to be with someone who, even if they're nice to you, is like shitty to your friends and wait staff. And I guess I assume that most people don't know, like the person is nice to people when they're around or something. So they don't know that they're actually an asshole to everyone else. But I find the idea that people think that romantic, like really interesting and deeply, like it just says a lot about what we're socialized to value.
I think this was fascinating about the Roy Kent character, for anyone who's watched Ted Lasso, is that he is that idealized version of that character. He's gruff or whatever, but he's actually is nice to people. He just does it. It just takes him a while to warm up to people, and then he does the good thing. But he's that is a popular trope, and I think that they really nailed it with that character.
Yeah,
I wish more of them were like that and less of the I hate everyone except for you.
Well, it's the opposite. Is it the candy coated shit turd, or is it the shit turd coated candy? Right? Both can be assholes. Some are more acceptable types of assholes than others. So boy, that was sorry to bring forth that and sort of end our episode here on
cool.
The thought of candy coated shit.
Just made me want candy.
We went from shit on the shingle in the last episode to candy coated shit in this one. So we're on theme. We're on theme.
Things. We're doing things. We're making it happen.
Anyway, I guess we'll wrap it up on that note. Thank you so much for being with us again this week. We really want to hear from you guys. We love pulling items from I'm the Asshole and all those, but we really want to hear from you guys. So write us in, write to us, DM us, IM us, whatever. We want to hear from you and help you solve your problems. So see us next time. We'll see you next time on Dear Romance Writer. Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you so much for subscribing to Dear Romance Writer. Remember to keep sending in those letters at dearromancewriter.com. We can't wait to tell you what to do. Dear Romance Writer is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Find more podcasts you'll love, frolic.media/podcasts.